Good afternoon. I believe it's afternoon. I got here in the morning, but thank you for giving us a little bit of time. I'm not usually sitting on this side of the desk. I'm usually sitting where you are to.
And I'm usually where you are, so.
So this is kind of like that Wacky Tuesday where we switch lives and ability and bodies at this point. It's kind of interesting. What got me into running for office and coming up into the legislature, believe it or not, was insurance, and health insurance especially. And the reason why I bring that up is because I am a small business owner. And 20 years ago, when there was a gentleman running for Senate, who's now our governor, was campaigning, and he was talking about, the war in Iraq. My first question to him was, what do we do about health insurance? Because I realized and recognized at that point, as a small business owner, health insurance was putting me out of business. I couldn't afford it. I had to make choices between, do I buy personal health insurance for myself, or do I keep my business going, and at the same time, do I run the risk being obviously a lot younger than I am today, running that risk of being healthy and thinking that it would be hopefully something that I would never have to call on. After making those testimonies, about 20 years ago, then Lieutenant Governor Nancy Wyman put together a panel group under the guidance of then Speaker Donovan, and traveled the state talking about what could we do as far as health insurance in Connecticut. And there again, listening to the public come forward and talk about how 20 years ago it was unaffordable, that the coverage that they were getting for what they could afford really wasn't health insurance. It's more like maintenance. It was kind of like that plan that you had it in place just in case you needed it, but you hoped you never would. And I had hoped after 20 years of mulling over this, that we would be in a better place. Now, I know we've made some improvements in some areas, but the continual thing that's people really grapple with is the expense, and the expense that they pay in return of also what they're getting in return. They're not getting much in return at all. As I go and I talk to constituents in my community, affordability is the number one thing happening, especially right now. With 3.4% inflation rates, with talks of higher electric rates, with food costs and everything else, the last thing that anybody is willing to do right now is pay more for their health insurance. So we're running back into a problem that we ran into 20 years ago of people rolling the dice, making the choice between, do I heat my home or do I pay my health care? Do I get a plan that technically, if I need it, it's there, but really when you go to use it, you find yourself in huge medical debt, which then if you own a home, the hospitals have no problem attaching your home. In fact, when I used to serve on the banking committee, the number one thing that I was dealing with in banking was home foreclosures, and the number one reason for home foreclosures was medical debt. You could live your life and do everything properly and save and have that one accident or that one health emergency and lose it all. And I would hope that, as we look at these requested rate increases, do as Representative Delnicki suggested. Look at those top end numbers. Look at the stock buybacks. Look at the expansion of these companies that are buying more health resources that they control, then guiding their customers to their preferred locations, really not providing the health care that we need. Look at those top end numbers, because there's a point that we need to be really concerned about taking care of those when they need it the most. Nobody really wants to run off to the doctor if they don't have to. They don't want to spend their nights, if they don't have insurance, running off to the emergency room in those long waits of sitting there with all the other uninsured individuals running the risk. The most expensive health care that we have in the country is the emergency room, but we're forcing people back to that. And it's my fear with these these rate increases that we're talking about here, because they're not small numbers, we are pushing people back into that uninsured pool. We're pushing people back into questionable policies that are not going to take care of them. We're pushing people into a point to where they may lose their homes over this, or at the very least where we have seniors that, I heard earlier today testifying about, well, if people would eat right and take care of themselves, well, if you have a limited budget, how are you going to be able to feed yourself properly, but at the same time, keep yourself healthy, because you have to make that choice between your health care and what you're consuming. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a background. I'm sure you're going to hear from others about the facts and the figures and the numbers, but I think it's really important that you really take a good hard look at that human aspect of what people are dealing with on a day-to-day basis and really bring that into your calculations, because I know it's not an easy task. In my history, we've been battling this for 20 years, and we're not going to have an answer today, but I would really like that you take those statements into mind as you deliberate over this, and really think about those working families that just cannot afford another dime on this. So thank you for allowing me to testify.